Good morning. So we'll start. Last class we were discussing about soil stabilization, and I told you that there are several methods of soil stabilization. We have discussed some three or four methods of soil stabilization. First one was mechanical stabilization, and also I told you what are the principles involved in soil stabilization. What do you mean by soil stabilization? What are the principles involved in soil stabilization? What are the principles involved in soil stabilization? First, you find out the properties of the material. First, you find out the properties of the soil. Then you see which property is lacking. Then what is the method for effective and economic, which is the method you can use for economically and efficiently or effectively supplementing the reduced property. So such a method is to be adopted. This is the principles, and there are different methods of soil stabilization. One we have already discussed, that is the mechanical stabilization. Second one is soil cement stabilization. Then you had the soil lime stabilization, and now we are going to see the fourth method of soil stabilization, that is using a bitumen, that is soil bitumen stabilization. The stabilization of soil using bituminous material. Okay, now there are two basic principles in stabilization of soil using a bituminous material. The two basic principles in soil stabilization using bituminous material are, first one is waterproofing and second one is binding. Okay, so waterproofing and binding, these are the two ways in which bitumen will act on the soil as a stabilizing agent. So if you are going for waterproofing, by waterproofing what you can do is the inherent strength of the soil can be retained. By waterproofing you are making sure that you are preventing the entry of water. Okay, water is prevented from entering into the soil subgrade so that the inherent strength of the soil will be preserved. Inherent strength of the soil will be preserved as a result of waterproofing. And in case of cohesionless soils, binding action will result in the improving stability of soil. So waterproofing and binding are two actions. Waterproofing and binding are two actions by which bitumen can act as a very good stabilizing agent for soil. Now, in case of granular soils and fine soils, the action will be different. The mechanism of stabilization using bitumen will be different depending on the type of soil. When we are discussing about the granular soils, okay, in case of granular soils, you know that the grain size of particles will be coarser. So in coarser grain particles, the bitumen will be individually coating. There will be individually coating and sticking together of particles by a thin film of bituminous material. Whereas in the case of fine grain soils, the void spaces between the fine grain soil will be plugged in by bitumen. The void spaces, I'll tell once more, in case of granular soils or coarse grained soils, what is happening is the bitumen will be individually coated, or the grains will be individually coated by a thin layer of bitumen. That is the case with granular soils. Whereas in fine soil or fine grained soil, the void spaces will be filled with a bituminous material. Bitumen can be used in any form. When we were studying construction materials, I told you that bitumen is available in different forms: cutback, emulsion, asphalt, tar. All these are different forms of bituminous material. So when you are going for stabilization, most commonly you will be using either cutback or emulsion. Cutback or emulsion are the two forms of bitumen which you are using most commonly. Okay. Now, what are the factors? What are the different factors which affect the performance of or what are the different factors which affect the properties of soil bitumen mix? There are several factors which affect the properties of soil bitumen mix. The first one, obviously, whenever we are discussing about any mix which is used for stabilization, whether it is the soil cement mix, soil lime mix, or soil bitumen mix, the most important factor which affect the performance of that mix is soil. What is the nature of the soil? So soil is the first factor. The properties of soil, such as its particle size of the soil, shape and gradation of soil particle. Okay, particle size of the soil, shape and gradation of soil particle. Then what is the proportion of fine soil present? What is the proportion of smaller size particles or fines present in the soil? Such things is one of the factors which decide the performance of soil bitumen mix. Another one is obviously after soil, definitely the second one will be the type of bituminous material. I told you that bitumen is available in a lot of form. In which form you are using the bituminous material? Cutback is one form, emulsion is another form. Likewise, there are several forms of bitumen. So what form of bitumen is the best suited for stabilization work? That is the second thing. Third one is amount of bitumen. Okay. So amount of bitumen, how much percentage of bitumen is to be needed for proper stabilization of the soil? What will happen if the percentage of bitumen is increased? An increase in the percentage of bitumen will cause a decrease in maximum dry density of soil. Maximum dry density of soil bitumen. But the stability of bitumen, okay, stability of the mix will be increasing with an increase in the percentage of bitumen. So when you observe the graph, you can see that the graph will be rising with percentage increase in bitumen. If percentage increase in bitumen or bitumen content is taken on x-axis and on y-axis you are taking the stability value. When you observe the graphical relationship, you can see that there is a rising graph due to increase in bitumen content. The stability value will be rising. But after one point, the stability value will not rise further. Okay, stability value will be reaching a peak point and afterwards the stability value will be reducing. So that is about the amount of bitumen. Next one is mixing. Whether the mixing provided for soil bitumen mixture is proper. Okay, if proper mixing is provided, then that will have a increased properties or that will have an increased quality. Then obviously compaction in all stabilization methods, starting from mechanical soil stabilization. I told you the basic principle or main objective in mechanical soil stabilization consists of two steps. One is proportioning. All the particles should be in fixed proportion. And second one was after proportioning we had compaction. So compaction is one very important factor which influences the properties of any kind of soil stabilization method. Whether you are going for soil cement stabilization, soil lime stabilization or soil bitumen stabilization. In all these kinds of stabilization, this compaction is a very main important step. Next one is curing. By curing the soil bitumen, what do you mean by curing? Means providing water, right? So by curing, okay, by curing the soil bitumen, water and the volatiles are allowed to evaporate, thereby allowing the bitumen to be effective. So curing is another important factor. And next one is additives. So different factors which affect the performance or properties of soil bitumen include type of soil, type of bituminous material, amount of bitumen, mixing, compaction, curing, and last one is additives. You are adding some forms of additives. Here in soil bitumen mix, you are adding an additive. For example, is a anti-stripping material. So if an anti-stripping material is added, it will prevent the stripping of bitumen from the soil surface. If a material is not used as an anti-stripping material or if no additive is added, there is a chance of stripping away of bitumen from the soil particle. So to prevent that stripping away of bitumen, you are adding a anti-stripping material as a additive. So these are the different factors which influence the properties of a soil bitumen mix. Now, so when we are going for construction of a bitumen stabilized layer, what are the construction steps? What are the construction steps in making a bitumen stabilized soil layer? First of all, the soil to be stabilized is pulverized. What do you mean by pulverizing? It is broken into fine particles. So if fine particles are present, the intimate mixing will be more effective. That is why pulverization is done. Then you are adding water into the soil and it is thoroughly mixed. Then the third step, cutback of bitumen, cutback or emulsion of bitumen. I told you that bitumen stabilization is done using bituminous material, and commonly what is stripping of bitumen? Okay, Jagdish has asked a question, what is stripping of bitumen? So stripping of bitumen means bitumen is supposed to act as a binder. Okay, it is supposed to coat on the soil particles. I told you that bitumen is having two roles. First one is binding and second one is waterproofing. So if this is your soil particle, the bitumen will be forming, or bitumen is supposed to form a film around the soil particle. Okay, if that film is not formed properly, what will happen? A water entrapment cannot be, or waterproofing cannot be made effective. Okay, and second thing is binding will not be possible. The bitumen should be binding the soil particles together. So if you are not providing any agent which will prevent anti-stripping, there is a chance that in course of time, or if the bitumen stabilized soil is coming in contact with water, there is a chance that the bitumen will be getting stripped off from the soil particle. Okay, it will be getting peeled out. That is known as stripping. So that need to be prevented. Okay, so I hope it is understood what is stripping of bitumen. I think it is clear. Okay, so construction steps. Okay, construction steps. The soil to be stabilized is pulverized. First of all, you are grinding the soil into small particles. Then you are adding water into the soil. Water is added into the soil and it is very much thoroughly mixed. Now we are introducing the bituminous material. So bituminous material, I already told you that bituminous material will be introduced in different forms, either as cutback or as emulsion. That is some forms of bitumen. Now the mix is spread and compacted. Now after compaction is done, the compacted layer is allowed to cure. We are subjecting it to curing. Now there are certain field control tests. The field control test to be conducted is, first one is checking of pulverization of wet mix soil, then checking of moisture content and bitumen content before compaction, and last one is checking of dry density. Sir, please repeat pulverization. Okay, Atul has asked to repeat pulverization. Pulverization means you are preparing a layer of, okay, whenever you are going for a pavement design, you are preparing a layer of soil which is stabilized with bitumen. Okay, so soil stabilization here we are discussing from our pavement point of view. So in our road surface, we need a layer of soil which is not strong on its own. Okay, the soil which we are taking is not strong on its own. So what we are doing is we have decided to improve the properties of soil by adding some binder content. We have discussed about a lot of stabilization methods, and here we are using a bituminous material as the stabilizing agent. So once this bitumen material is used, the bituminous material will be acting in two ways. There are two basic functions to be performed by a bituminous material. What are the two basic functions? First one is waterproofing and second one you call as the binding. So in order to make sure that both these activities or the functioning of bituminous layer is proper, in order to make sure that the functioning of bituminous layer is proper, you should make sure that there is thorough mixing of soil particles and bitumen happening. So in order to have a very thorough mixing, the soil to be shredded or made into finer particle. So pulverization is the step in which you are shredding the large size particles into smaller ones. Okay, pulverization is the process where you are shredding the large size particles into smaller ones so that there is a thorough mixing of soil and bitumen. So I hope it is clear. Okay, now there are some problems arising in soil stabilization. there are certain problems arising in a soil stabilization work. So what are the main problems arising in soil stabilization work? The main problems arising in soil stabilization work can be divided into three aspects. We are going to study about the problems arising in a soil stabilization work in three different aspects. First one is the choice of stabilization technique to be adopted. What is the stabilization technique that you are planning to adopt? That is the first thing. Second thing is the design of the stabilized mix. And third one is the thickness design of the stabilized layer. Okay. So these are the three headings in which you are studying the problems associated with the soil stabilization. So what is the best suited stabilizing technique? You are selecting a technique, choice of the stabilization technique. So there are a lot of factors which influence which factor need to be. Right now we have discussed about 4 stabilization technique. We can either go for mechanical stabilization, we can go for soil cement stabilization, we can go for soil lime stabilization, and we can also go for soil bitumen stabilization. So we have 4 readily available stabilization technique. Now as the designer, it is our responsibility to select which kind of technique is to be adopted in one particular situation. So in order to select one particular method of stabilization, you have to consider certain factors. Okay, certain factors are taken into consideration, and then only you will be selecting the best suited stabilization technique. So what are the different factors which you are going to consider? The different factors include the type of soil to be stabilized. What is the nature of the soil? Second one is availability of other construction materials and admixtures in the locality at low cost. Okay. Third one is volume, type and distribution of traffic. We are speaking about soil stabilization used in a pavement. So over a pavement, in the lifetime of pavement, the pavement will be subjected to loads due to the vehicular movement. So what is the traffic condition happening on the pavement? That is another factor. Next factor is the climate, drainage and environmental conditions. Then requirements of the pavement layer. In which layer you are adding this soil, whether you are using it in sub base or base, in which layer you are using this material. Then construction equipment available, and next one is urgency of the project. In what time you are planning to complete this project. So these are several factors. Apart from these factors, there are economic aspect also. How much is the fund available, and whether the stabilization technique which you are planning to carry out will be completed within the specified budget. So these are the several factors which will decide which type of stabilization technique can be selected, okay, based on the available options. So depending on the site conditions, the site conditions include what is the type of soil available, how much transportation facility is available, what is the expected load in future coming on the pavement, then environmental factors, economic factors, all these factors are discussed. So next thing is mixed design. So once you have fixed that a particular stabilization technique is adopted, once you have adopted a particular stabilization technique, now next requirement is the mixed design. Whenever you are going for a mixed design, there are 2 points to be considered. First of all, the mix should be stable enough. There should be stability criteria should be fulfilled. Stability criteria means your objective is to stabilize the soil. You are finding that there is a limitation in some property of the soil. So you are supplementing some material so that the soil will be stable. So the material which you are planning to supplement should be stable enough. That is one criteria. And second criteria is durability. It should not be like today I have made a road, and for 1 month that road will be very much effectively functional. After 1 month or 2 months, what is happening is it may be leading to problems. Such things should not happen. Okay, whatever work you are carrying out, it will be having certain lifespan or intended service period. So during that period, it should be able to provide the required service. We call it as durability. It should not be getting deteriorated due to actions of other agents. So stability and durability are the two major factors to be taken care when you are going for a mix design. Next one is thickness design of stabilized layer. Once the mix design is made and you have selected the stabilization technique and you have prepared a proper mix, how much thickness should that particular layer be having? Such things also need to be determined. So these are the different steps. So which material is used in mechanical stabilization? In mechanical stabilization, we are not adding any kind of material as such. In mechanical stabilization, what you are doing is mechanical energy is applied. Okay. In minor quantities, there may be some additives used, but mainly it is application of mechanical forces. Okay. So this is about the different stabilization techniques. Now, there is one work for you. You have to find out, I will upload the details in Google Classroom. Okay. You have to make a study about the different soil stabilization methods. Which kind of method? You might have heard about lime stabilization. That is one method. You might have heard about cementing. You might have heard about addition of fly ash. Like that, there are several methods of stabilization available. So you have to make a study on soil stabilization techniques. And the soil stabilization technique should cover all these things. It should cover all the mechanical stabilization technique. It should cover all the soil cement stabilization, soil lime stabilization, and soil bitumen stabilization. Which method is suitable for one particular kind of soil? Okay. What are the advantages? What are the disadvantages? All such details should be included in that write-up. The details I will be giving through Google Classroom. I will give the deadline and other details there. So you make a write-up and submit it. Okay. That will be your assignment for module 1. Okay. You are having 5 modules. So what I am planning is, so which one is the cheapest method? That is what I was telling. Find out. Okay. Different methods for which kind of soil, which method is suitable, what are the advantages and disadvantages of all these methods. Okay. It will be a bit large. No need of, sir, please repeat mixed design, stability, durability. Okay, Atul, I am coming into that. Okay. After telling this about assignment, I will repeat mixed design, no problem. Okay. So which method is the best suited method? What is the cost considerations? I don't want many details. The only thing to be included is write the name of a method. Which soil can be stabilized using this method? What is the mechanism? Okay. Like mechanism in the sense, here I told you that in bituminous mixing, what is the mechanism happening of stabilization? There are 2 mechanisms. First one is waterproofing and second one is binding. Repeat again assignment. Okay, I am Harish. I am telling that. I am telling about the assignment. Okay. So that are the 2 mechanisms. Similarly, in every method you write, the mechanism should be included. What is the stabilization mechanism? Second one is what is the or which type of soil can be stabilized using that. Third one is what are the advantages and disadvantages. So once this assignment is done, you should be able to tell about the different methods which method need to be applied in one particular site condition. So I think that is clear. Okay, now Atul want to repeat about the mixed design. Okay, fine. So mixed design. First of all, we have decided what is the method to be applied. Okay, what method need to be, what is the choice of stabilization method, that is already decided. Now we want to prepare a mix. A mix in the sense, I told you that except in mechanical stabilization, there are 4 methods: mechanical stabilization, soil cement stabilization, soil lime stabilization, and soil bitumen stabilization. So in soil lime, soil bitumen, or soil cement stabilization, what you are doing is you are introducing certain percentage of binding material, either cement or lime or bitumen is used as the binding material. So the thing is, we have already decided which method or what material is to be used as the stabilizing agent. It is not like I am taking some soil, I am taking some lime, I am mixing them together. There should be a properly designed mix. If you are taking 1 kilogram of soil, if you are taking 1 kilogram of soil, you should determine the engineering properties of soil. What is the particle size? What is the plasticity characteristics? All those things need to be decided. Now, after deciding the properties of soil, you have to select which material. If you have selected lime as the stabilizing material, you cannot add lime as such. You have to see how much percentage of lime need to be filled so that you can get a stable layer of soil. So now you fix the percentage of lime. Now you should know what is the particle size. Okay. If water need to be introduced into soil lime mix, how much water need to be made. Okay. So all these things, it should be made in a proportionate manner. So how much is the constituents? How much is the composition of different constituents? That things need to be designed in an engineering way. Such a thing you call as the mix design. Okay. I think it is clear. Okay, is it clear, Atul, about mixed design? Now after mixed design, okay, I think it's clear. So after mixed design, next thing is thickness design. So you know what is the method of stabilization. Now you know how much is the percentage of material to be added. You have prepared a mix. Now once this mix is prepared, what should be the thickness of each layer? The stabilized layer should be laid in the pavement layers. So how much thickness should be used? Such things we will be studying in the, we are going in the next step, that is thickness design of a stabilized layer. Okay. Now there is one more thing about stabilization of black cotton soil. That is an important thing. Black cotton soil. Black cotton soil means it is a high clay soil, and this soil has, black cotton soil is having one type of clay mineral present in that. Have you studied about the different clay minerals in soil mechanics? Clay minerals. Okay, clay minerals. No, okay, you have not studied. There are different types of clay minerals. Illite, kaolinite, montmorillonite. These are some of the examples of clay minerals. Such things will be discussed by soil mechanics faculty. So montmorillonite is one kind of clay mineral. The specific feature about this montmorillonite type of clay mineral is it is very much active. Montmorillonite is very much active, and there is a chance of a tremendous change in volume occurring due to the presence of this montmorillonite clay mineral. It can absorb large amount of water and can bulk in volume, and it can also be reducing, or it can shrink in volume due to the presence of montmorillonite clay mineral. So black cotton soil is one type of soil which is having large content of montmorillonite clay mineral, and this montmorillonite clay mineral is having large expansive characteristics. Okay, but there are some problems associated with this black cotton soil. First problem is it is very difficult to pulverize the soil because of its high dry strength. And if you are wetting the soil in dry condition, it will be very much strength. It will be having a large amount of strength. So it's very hard to break the lumps and go for pulverization of black cotton soil. And in wet condition, it will be too much sticky. So pulverization is difficult in case of black cotton soil. Then there is excessive variation in volume and stability of soil with variation in moisture content. Okay, with variation in moisture content, I told you excessive variation of volume. That is why I told that this soil, the soil of black cotton soil, which is having large amount of montmorillonite clay mineral, will be exhibiting expansive characteristics. Expansive characteristics means upon wetting the volume will be increasing to a large amount, and upon drying there will be shrinking. So expansion and shrinking characteristics is more. There is considerable shrinkage on drying, resulting in the formation of extensive cracks. Next one, the black cotton soil will be exerting large swelling pressure once it is soaked. Okay, once it is soaked, what will happen in soaking? The volume will be increased and it will be swelling. And if a black cotton soil is filled below some other layer of pavement, it will be swelling from below due to soaking, and it will be exerting large swelling pressure on the topmost layer. And these are certain problems associated with black cotton soil. So what are the methods available? What are the methods available for stabilization of a black cotton soil? The most or the best suited method for stabilization of black cotton soil you can use as lime stabilization. Here you are using lime as the additives, and sometimes you may be going for heat treatment also. Okay, these are some of the methods. Heat treatment means you are allowing thermal treatment. You are increasing the temperature to make sure that the soil is getting into a stable condition. So that is about the different soil stabilization methods. There is some theory type of things to be given in black cotton soil. Such things I'll try to give you handwritten notes. Someday I'll be writing notes and I'll be uploading it in Google Classroom. So this is the basic things about the soil stabilization methods. So we have completed the first unit, and I have given one assignment also. So the date of submission of assignment will be given to you. Okay. Now we'll continue. We are going on into the second unit. Second unit is about pavement. The second and third unit is about design and construction of flexible, and one unit is about design and construction of flexible pavement, and another unit is about the design and construction of rigid pavement. Okay, so do you know what is the difference between flexible pavement and rigid pavement? Can anyone tell? What is the difference between a flexible pavement and rigid pavement? You can comment. Okay, so there are some top layer: bitumen pavement and concrete pavement. Flexible pavement is very soft pavement, wearing surface. Rigid made of concrete, while flexible is of bitumen. Okay, so there are some answers coming. So basically we will be discussing about two types of pavement, that is flexible pavement and rigid pavement. So flexible pavement is also known as a blacktop pavement. So since the name blacktop, you will be able to tell, okay, flexible, bitumen and rigid cement concrete, right? So when you hear the name blacktop pavement, you can say what is meant by this blacktop pavement. A bituminous layer will be used on the top surface of flexible pavement. That is why it is black in color. Whereas in the case of rigid pavement, a rigid pavement is made up of a concrete layer. Okay. So this is the basic difference. Basic difference is in the material used for construction. Okay. Now let us see the diagrams showing both flexible and rigid pavements. I am going to present. Here you can see this diagram. This is the this one is showing a flexible pavement, and second one is showing a rigid pavement. So when you observe the first figure, you can see that the flexible pavement is having a lower layer, that is a natural formation. There is one, and this natural formation, it can also be called as a subgrade. You are using soil as the subgrade material. Now observe the second layer. The second layer you call as a sub base. Subbase is made up of stones or aggregates. Subgrade is made up of soil and subbase is made up of stones or aggregates. Now over the subbase, you are having the third layer that is known as the base course. Soil subgrade, subbase, base course, and over the top you are having the surface course on which you are having a surface dressing, and this surface dressing is made with bitumen or bituminous material. That is why it is given in black color, and that is why you call a bituminous pavement as a flexible pavement. Okay, so I hope it is clear what is meant by a flexible pavement. I hope it is clear. Now see a rigid pavement. This is the component layers of a rigid pavement. At the bottom you are having a natural formation. You are having a soil layer. You call that layer as subgrade. Over the soil layer you are having a subbase. Similar to flexible pavement, here also you are having a subbase layer made up of stone aggregates, and over that you are having a concrete slab. Here you are having a base course and surface course, but here instead you will be casting a concrete slab, and the concrete slab is placed above the subbase level. So this is known as a rigid pavement. This is also another example, another figure. You are having a subbase, subgrade, you are having a subbase, you are having a base, and you will be having a top. Here also you are having a soil subgrade, then you have a subbase, and over the subbase you are having a concrete slab is placed. So these are different. So when you observe a flexible pavement, you can see that the flexible pavement is having different layers. The load transfer mechanism. What is the difference in load transfer in a flexible and rigid pavement? In a flexible pavement, there are different layers. There is a soil subgrade over which we are having a subbase layer made up of aggregates. Over that you are having a base course made up of aggregates, and at the top you are having a wearing course or surface course. So it is having a layered mechanism. Now when you discuss about the rigid pavement, it is having the load transfer mechanism in a rigid pavement is due to slab action. So that is another difference. Now let us see one more thing. What is the difference between a flexible and rigid pavement? Okay, so that is being downloaded. So is that clear? What is the difference between a flexible pavement and rigid pavement? Okay, it's clear. Fine. So now we have to study about the composition, or we have to study about the different component layers. What are the characteristics of different component layers? The base or the bottommost layer in a pavement, whether it is flexible pavement or rigid pavement, the bottommost layer, you call it as the subgrade. Subgrade is made up of soil. So soil subgrade means it is a layer of soil prepared. It's a layer of soil prepared. And what is the purpose? The purpose of soil subgrade is to receive the layers of pavement material placed over it. It is the bottommost layer, and other pavement layers are coming over the soil subgrade. So one basic function of soil subgrade is to receive the pavement layers which are coming over the bottommost layer. And whatever is the load coming on the pavement, load due to materials and load due to vehicular movement coming on the pavement will be transferred into the deeper layer and will be transferred into the soil subgrade. So soil subgrade is the bottommost layer which will support all the layers coming over it. In addition to supporting, it will be taking all the loads coming over. Okay, the soil subgrade will be taking all the loads coming over. Now, the soil subgrade should never be overstressed. If it is being overstressed, it may lead to the failure of the pavement. Okay, if one layer of pavement is failed, then the entire pavement is said to be failed. You cannot operate that pavement effectively. So make sure that never ever the soil is overstressed. So once you want to ensure that the soil is not overstressed, you should know how much is the load that can be beared by the soil. If the soil can bear 100, if you are giving 110, that means it is overstressing. So you should have an idea on how much should be the load coming. Okay. So there are some strength tests for evaluation of soil subgrade. What are the different strength tests for evaluation of soil subgrade? One test is known as CBR test. Can anyone tell me what is meant by a CBR test? CBR, you can comment. Yes, please make a comment. What is meant by a CBR? Anyone? No answer? Okay, CBR means okay, Shubham has told California bearing ratio. So CBR or California bearing ratio is one important test conducted on soil. In transportation engineering as well as in geotechnical engineering, you will be studying about California bearing ratio test. I think I have discussed it in last year also when we were studying about one topic on highway materials. Okay, so California bearing ratio test or CBR test is the most important test conducted on a soil bearing. Okay, so California bearing ratio test is the most important test conducted on soil from a pavement point of view. Okay, so how the test is conducted, such things we have already discussed. If you don't remember, go to Google Classroom of pavement thickness is based on the CBR test. Yes, there is one method in pavement design. There is one method of flexible pavement design known as the CBR method of design. So in that, the pavement thickness is selected based on the CBR value of the soil. Okay, so more details of that test will be available in last semester's Google Classroom. Okay, I have shared materials there. You can check it. I'm not going to explain more other than what is required in our syllabus. Okay, so California bearing ratio test or CBR test is one test for determining the determining for the strength of soil used in subgrade. There are some other tests also. Another test is known as the California resistance value test. You are using an instrument known as the Hume stabilometer for determining the or for conducting the California resistance value test. There is another test known as the triaxial test, and one more test is there that is known as the plate bearing test. So these are the different tests: California bearing ratio test, California resistance value test, triaxial compression test, and plate bearing test are the different tests conducted on subgrade for evaluating the properties of soil subgrade. Okay, so now you know what are the different component layers. The lowermost layer of the pavement is the subgrade. Functions of subgrade is to take the other load, other layers are placed over the subgrade, and the load due to all the other pavement layers will be transferred into the soil subgrade, and soil subgrade will be bearing all these loads. So in order to make sure that the soil is not overstressed, you should know what are the tests for determining the strength of soil. So strength of soil can be determined using several tests being California bearing ratio test, California resistance value test, triaxial compression test, and plate bearing test. These are the different tests available for soil subgrade. Similar to soil subgrade, we have to study about the functions of other component layers also. Okay, so we'll be discussing it in next class. This class will also be made available in Google Classroom, and I will also share the details for your assignment. So submit it there. Okay, please comment your attendance.